All right guys, let's talk about how you can get a deeper racket drop on your serve to help you to generate more power. So the reason that a deeper racket drop will help you to generate more power is because as that racket drops all the way down your back, it's going to give you some distance to generate that speed. It's also going to help you to create essentially lag. So the racket drops down your back, the elbow leads the way, and the racket catches up. And that's how you're going to generate that speed. Now, if you don't have a great racket drop, the reason for that is likely because as you get in your trophy position, you will be too quick to face your strings to the tennis ball to guarantee a clean strike. And this makes sense. It makes sense for players to get into this position and square up the racket to guarantee that they can hit the ball clean. And what often happens is players will go from what they think is a continental grip to a slight eastern to allow them to square that racket up even more. So they really guarantee a cleaner contact. And again, it helps them to control the tennis ball. But in order to get this racket drop that you're looking for, you need to allow the racket to drop down your back and to lose track of it for a little bit. Allow it to swing down there. You don't need to square it to the ball just yet. So you have to be patient. Relax a little bit. Allow the racket to drop down your back. And then at the last second, you can rotate into the contact point. So this is about waiting as long as you can to square up the racket. I think that feeling a deep racket drop is relatively simple. You can just grab your racket, swing it around, and just allow it to drop down your back and to swing it freely around your body. And you're not fighting it. You're not eager to go up to the ball. Just allow it to drop down your back. The problem is when people do this, they always swing like this. So you can think about swinging it around your body, but as you come into the contact, the imaginary contact point, square it up a little bit. You could also use the fence and just get that same feeling of letting it drop down your back and squaring it up here. So you get used to dropping it down your back, but having that realistic contact point where you can pronate into the strike. Now, if you're still struggling to get that feeling of the racket drop, you can grab yourself a ball tube. You could even use a wooden racket, something with a little bit of weight to it, and just swing it around you. And because there's weight to this, it wants to drop down my back. And if I fight it, I will feel that I'm fighting it. So I can just let it drop down my back and roll out. Again, we may end up in this position instead of rotating into that strike. So if you can, as you're doing these exercises, you have to feel that rotation of the arm to square up the racket. So in order to get that deep racket drop, we have to keep the racket on edge. You may have heard that term, but keeping the racket on edge like we're chopping something for a little bit longer, because again, a lot of people get into this position and then open up the racket to face the ball. So to help you to do this, try to chop the tennis ball. See if you can do this exercise. Missed it. There we go. So once you've done that and you're framing the tennis ball, all you have to do is keep that same motion and just square up the racket head slightly. At first you may hit some spin, which is great because all we have to do is just miss that edge of the racket and we will now be spinning that ball. Or you can come in with the edge and just rotate, pronate at the last second, rotate that arm to square up the racket. So let's see if we can make this even more comfortable and natural for you. If I'm chopping something, I'm going to get that natural drop because I'm on edge as opposed to opening up the racket. So I'm just chopping something. Now this to me feels pretty comfortable. I'm chopping, right? Feels great. Feels more comfortable than if I rotate my arm. So I'm just chopping away. Now if I stretch, this feels more comfortable, just rotating my arm here. So all we're looking to do is to come into this chopping position and then rotate. Both positions are pretty comfortable. A chopping position here and this position here where you rotate it up. We are coming in like we're chopping, and we're just rotating through into a very comfortable position and just continuing down the left of the body. Let's see if we can make it look as easy as I'm making it sound. Another thing that's going to help you to make this work, help it to feel natural for you, is to make sure that the racket is in line with where the contact point is. So you're right behind it. So many players get into this position, then they have to open it up and come around themselves. I see that a lot. So we need to feel like, just like when we're chopping, that we're right behind the ball. So as the racket drops, it swings around and we're right here. That's going to give us more confidence to stay on edge for a little bit longer. Let's see if we can hit more of a proper serve. That ball was rubbish. If you're hitting a spin serve and essentially you're sending the racket across the ball, sending it at a 45-degree angle towards the fence, then the racket drop will be over here a little bit. And you'll see this if I hit a topspin serve, you'll see that my racket drop was here. So that racket drop is fine if I'm coming up and across the ball. But if I'm hitting a first serve, I want to feel like the racket drop gets behind the ball. Make sure you are in the right position with your racket drop, because that's going to give you confidence to actually be on edge for a little bit longer. One last thing, I've put together a video on the serve coordination chain showing the progressions to go from a beginner, basic, but fundamentally sound serve all the way to a more sophisticated, advanced service motion, similar to what I've been demonstrating today. When you watch this video, you will understand exactly what you need to work on next time you're on the practice court. I'll leave a link in the description below. Go check it out, and thanks for watching.